I tell people is you are the business. When you start, your vision and values will carry through past you. It's bringing the person, their values, their faith, whatever it is, into the success.
Everything we do starts with loving our city. I probably have a bigger appetite for risk than most people. I love a difficult challenge. So if there's something that someone hasn't done before or hasn't accomplished yet, like I started this whole journey of fixing up downtown San Bernardino because it was so bad and because but I saw that as opportunity. I realized with mentorship from some of my investors that I just approached it the wrong way.
The first thing I always try to do is what I tell people is you are the business. When you start, and your vision and values will carry through past you. So I always start with the person. Talk to me about you, who you are, your faith, your beliefs, your values, whatever that is.
Sure.
And let's talk about that. And then we move into like your vision.
Sure. And
how that got started. And I got to see a transition, right, from the residential to the commercial.
Yeah.
Right. So I love that. And then, about where you're at today and how you got there. So it's bringing the person, their values, their faith, whatever it is, into the success. And here's what, my belief is that whether you believe or not, God's principles work when you follow them. You might not know God, but instinctively, we learn to follow there's something in us that teaches us how to treat people. And when we treat people the right way, we get blessings out of it. Even if you don't know God. So that's kind of the premise of it. And I love talking to different people, right? So I love that, my first brother on here is Jewish, but you have the heart for people in our city, right?
Thank you.
So that's what it's all about.
Well, thank you for having me on your podcast, Ray. Yeah. I'm happy to be here. I didn't grow up in San Bernardino, but I find myself spending more time in San Bernardino than at home. I work here. I own my business here. I own Realicor Real Estate Group. We're a real estate brokerage that does sales, property management, development, and honestly, everything we do starts with loving our city. And then everything else kind of comes after that.
After that.
Yeah. And so myself, I know a lot of my friends growing up had rough childhoods. They had maybe parents that weren't always there for them, or they didn't do well in school. And so I was lucky enough to have really stable parents, loving parents, parents that cared about my success, that I still work. My dad is my partner in my business to this day. And I'm so lucky that I get to see him or talk to him every single day. And we're talking about stressful stuff too. And Absolutely. We can still get over that. Doing business with family is difficult, but we're able to overcome that.
Absolutely.
And I think that kind of upbringing is a part of my success. We're talking about, what makes me as a person successful, or what values do I bring to the table. Mm-hmm. And I think really just my dad giving me advice through the years, my mom nurturing me, making sure, we had enough food, that we were going to school and staying in school. That was a big part of just my upbringing that I think gave me the chance to take risk. And so I probably have a bigger appetite for risk than most people. Sometimes it's scary. I get myself in trouble little times, but my family and my dad, my wife, they keep me grounded as best they can, and I think I can attribute that to my initial success in real estate or in any business that I do. Those are soft values I can take.
Yeah.
So
well, it's funny. Just learned something new, and maybe that's something else why I believe our hearts are knitted together. Is mine was opposite why. But
interesting.
I was very motivated too for the lack of parental support. Now, I had a mom and dad, and they loved me. They divorced when I was young. And my mom did, again, I wasn't on the streets, but I lived in, the west side of San Bernardino. We moved a couple times in lower, rent areas. So I had food and shelter, but that was it. There was really no nurturing or guiding on, this is how you get through school, this is how you get through life, this is how you shave for the first time. Right.
That's impressive.
So
Yeah.
for me, the motivation was I had to figure life out, right? No brothers or sisters and that, but the same, really, I'm not going to say the same outcome. I admire what you've done, and I've watched your growth, and I want to be like David Freeman someday.
I want to be like Ray Blom. Come on, man.
So let's go back to, I want to go back to a little bit more about you.
Sure.
And who you are. We talked about values, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Do you practice in your faith? What faith you practice? And what's your who's David as an individual before a business and citizen?
Yeah, I think so. I just have a burning passion for the community, which is sometimes, I think, maybe from an outsider's point of view, seeing me as like a landlord or a property owner or a property manager is not in confluence with each other. But I really do. My heart is in this community, and I don't really know what that's about. I've been a part of like Boy Scouts. I've been in Hebrew school. Like I've made all these relationships and different groups in my life that I've grown within those communities. And I don't know if it's something about them like nurturing me or them just like showing me how powerful like a group of people can be. But there's just something about that I really love building community. And so, like, what does that mean, right? Like, I love putting the right people together. I love networking. I really love putting, hey, you need this, you have this. And I just love putting those, it makes me feel good, even if it brings me no benefit. It makes me feel good to put the right people in the room. And so, I love doing that. I love seeing people have a space to express themselves. That's really big to me. I'm a problem solver. I love puzzles. I love a difficult challenge. So if there's something that someone hasn't done before or hasn't accomplished yet, like I started this whole journey of fixing up downtown San Bernardino because it was so bad, and because but I saw that as opportunity, right? So I think me as a person, I see bad things, and instead of running away, I run towards them. So that's good and bad. I've definitely had to learn over the last decade and more how to roll with the punches, come back from mistakes. I still make mistakes. I feel like the more successful I get, the more mistakes I make, which is weird. But you try to limit those mistakes as much as possible. Go ahead.
I was going to say, at least not make the same ones twice.
At least not make the same ones. Yeah, I'm making new, bigger mistakes.
Yeah, that's how we learn sometimes.
Yeah. I have a wife. I recently got married this year to Tansu Philip, and she's a creative person. She's an actress. She's my soulmate. She's my business partner.
You start smiling when you talk about her.
I just love her. We started Viva La Boba together, and the whole point of, so like we were living in LA for 2 years. I chased her. She went to LA. I was this kid in Yucaipa, and I chased her to LA. She asked me out, but I'm like, I'm in, let's go. And so it was good for me because I got to learn more about myself, especially in like a more high pressure city like LA. I got to learn what's out there, the opportunity, like, wow, there's so many cool restaurants and businesses out here. Why don't we have that here in the Inland Empire? Like, like you were saying earlier, all the ingredients are here.
Yep, they are.
And we just couldn't, our puzzle pieces didn't fit in LA's overall picture. And so we came back to the Inland Empire, San Bernardino, Redlands, and we wanted to find our community, build our community. We already had community here, so we wanted to build off of that. And
places where community can meet,
where
gather.
We can meet, yeah. Right. And I was already doing real estate at that time, but that's kind of gives you like an idea of how I got to here, to be in the city. It's very important for me to open my business in this city. My dad's business has been in this city. Like you'll probably hear me say multiple times, my dad is my hero. Like I look up to him. He's a hard worker. works too hard, but you know, I'm so happy to have him as a mentor. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you're saying.
Well, and how, I mean, you mentioned Hebrew school.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Your faith, where are you at, and how's that played into your values, if at all?
No, that's a good question. So like, religion and faith is maybe complicated for probably anyone, I think. So we can dissect it. I went to Hebrew school. I'm Jewish. I was born Jewish. My mom converted before they got married. So I am like, it's all about if the mom is Jewish, the dad. It doesn't really matter if the dad is Jewish, although it's good if they are. But the mom has to be Jewish. And so my mom converted. They raised us Jewish. We went to Hebrew school every Saturday. You know, for Christians it's Sunday, but for us it was Saturday. So Friday nights we would pray over the candles and close out the night, start Shabbat. And Saturday we would go to school. Sometimes I would go to Hebrew school Wednesdays and Saturdays. So I did that for 8 years. I made a lot of friends there. They're all still my friends today. Like a lot of Aarons. Aaron Malky, Aaron, Paul Snyder. Like a lot of good friends that I have from there are still my friends to this day. Like my Hebrew school teacher is still my friend.
Oh, wow.
I see her from time to time. Jillian. I've had a lot of mentors from there, and I've met a lot of also hardworking people that I was able to look up to and ask questions.
Yeah.
As far as faith personally, I think I'm a spiritual person. So like I'm almost like agnostic Jewish, where like the culture and the religion I am a part of, I grew up that way. I think their teachings are very beneficial. But I'm not like actively practicing. I do show up to the high holidays if my, you know, someone at synagogue asks me to read a passage or come join. I'm always there to help another fellow Jew or anyone, doesn't matter what your religion is, but you know, especially my friends from Hebrew school and just in the path of Judaism. I personally, I deal with a lot of anxiety. And so I think sometimes it's about like existentialism, like what's my purpose? What's my, so those are kind of the things that I face when it comes to spirituality and God and, you know, like why are we here? What are we here to do? Like, why have I been placed here? So I think those are the questions that I face a lot when facing God and just that idea of, is there a higher power who is involved in my life? Are they, you know, somehow playing a passive role, an active role? So that's kind of like my experience. And even like, so I have a rabbi that I see every now and then, Rabbi Fuss. I guess I'm a little more active than I thought. I see Rabbi Fuss every now and then, and he's better friends with my girlfriend Tansu than I am.
Wow.
She helps them every year for the Hanukkah celebration over in Riverside. You know, Tansu pushes me. It's so funny. She's not Jewish, but she pushes me to do Jewish events. Like we have Passover at our house.
Oh, wow.
So I like, it's inside me and it's all there. Like I can speak Hebrew. I don't understand it all the time. I know all the important stories. You know, I show up here and there, but it's not. I don't know how else to describe it. I do connect. You do connect with other Jews like immediately. Like we know what we've been through. 8 years of Hebrew school. Like you did that too. Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a common bond already.
There's a common bond. Yeah. So that's important, I think, and that's been nice to get that brother or sisterhood out of that. So that's been my experience.
Well, and I ask that because you know me, I'm Christian, my faith, and what I've learned is I can't separate who I am and what I believe from what I do. If that makes sense.
That makes sense.
The Ray that loves Jesus, my why, what I do, is because of what he's done for me. And I see a caring for people in you. So you carry that. And that's what I was, first of all, you carry that love of people. But second of all, you also carry, I say an anointing or a covenant, but really through your faith that, you know, God is still with you, because I've watched you and we'll talk about your business, and this leads into it, but David and your values carry into your business. And I'm going to ask you about a principle in a minute, but I've watched you grow. I mean, I think I met you 20-something years ago.
Crazy.
And you were even younger then. I don't know. You were barely out of college, maybe? I don't know.
I might have still been in college because I was doing real estate all 4 years of college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember my partner and I in downtown San Bernardino met with your father and your investment partners.
Yeah.
And I was pitching my partner on San Bernardino. You were pitching them on commercial buildings in San Bernardino. We didn't move forward because my partner wasn't in on San Bernardino, but you ended up moving forward, and we're going to talk about that. But I just admired,
thank you,
as a young man, and what I remember sticking out was your first year of getting your real estate license. How many homes you sold?
I was like 17, which is pretty abnormal.
Crazy for a kid in college.
People were like, "You're 20?"
Yeah.
Age usually didn't come up because I had a beard.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was helpful.
So I asked you before the podcast, because I do believe, your upbringing, your faith does carry into who David is. What's a principle or principles that you've carried through your life into who David is in business? So you gave me, I think, 2 or 3. Do you want to talk about any one of them? Or?
Well, I think like going to, and I see this to this day when I go back to my synagogue. So I'm a part of Etzadar.
Okay.
They're in Redlands. Whenever I go back, I'm welcomed as if I never left. And so there's like this long-standing open door of like, you're always welcome here. Yeah. You're always, whether you are, doesn't matter how Jewish you are. Yeah. You're welcome here. And I feel like I've maybe brought that into my life is, like I work with contractors, I work with salespeople, I work with investors, I work with even like some valuable members of our team are homeless. Like there's a guy in this building, John, who I see on a daily basis. He takes good care of himself. He chooses to be homeless or unhoused. And he's the most chipper, happy guy I've ever met. He's very satisfied with his situation, and he's just always willing to help. He jumps in, all that stuff. And I've found that like being open as a person and welcoming brings more value to your life than being a closed off person, or like you were saying earlier, being competitive. We don't have to be competitors with everyone, right? Like even with your perceived competitors, you can find a common ground. Absolutely. And you can meet in the middle there. So I think that's been a leading value in my life, is just opening the door to anyone. Give everyone a chance. Some people won't treat you well. Some people will take advantage. And you'll find those people out. But I would have missed many, many more opportunities in my life had I been closed off and more competitive. And I've even learned less, like Alan Stanley over at the Enterprise Building one time said, I remember, him and I were competing on some buildings here in downtown. And for me to compete with an older, more successful guy was kind of almost like, I don't know, I was like, I can do this.
A challenge?
It was a challenge.
A challenge.
And so for him to say, come to my level and be like, hey, I remember when I was your age, I was also hyper competitive. We can work together. Really opened my eyes and reminded me that like that's so true. Like it's not this winner take all mentality that we have to have. We can all be successful together, and we can all help open doors for each other.
Absolutely.
So I think that's been like a leading value of mine that is in my personal life and in business has been helpful.
So really collaboration, networking.
Yeah.
Together we're greater. There was another one you said, disclose.
Oh, I texted you that.
Which to me is integrity. And it goes back to a biblical principle I try to live by, which is, when Jesus was questioned, and they said, well, what's the greatest commandment? And he said, well, this basically sums it all up. Love the Lord God with all your heart and your neighbor as yourself. Yeah. So when you're disclosing, you're being transparent. Yeah. You're telling them the good, the bad, the ugly. Yeah. and letting them make
Everything.
a truthful decision. So what's that mean to you? Disclose, disclose, disclose.
So that's a phrase my dad taught me. We've done a lot of deals together. Some of them are pretty major deals where if something goes wrong, it could get litigious.
Yeah.
He's been a family law accountant for 30 plus years, and he's seen families and business partners fighting over scraps, and really the only winners are the accountants, the attorneys, and all the people you pay to go to court. And so, you know, we're not just trying to make money, we're also trying to avoid lawsuits, and we're also trying to do the right thing. And 99 times out of 100, doing the right thing will just automatically keep you out of trouble.
Absolutely.
And so he's always said, disclose, disclose, disclose.
Absolutely.
So even if I've had clients be like, well, we don't need to, no, you need to, you already told me it's too late. We need to put that on the disclosures. Like I had a client, they were like, well, we had an ADA lawsuit. I was like, you should have mentioned that. That's pretty, when was it? They were like, last year. I was like, that's fresh.
Yeah.
You need to, even though they were successful and they closed it, you need to tell them. Yeah. I've never, and my dad says this too, we've never had a deal going into it with a lot of times, even before we go into escrow, we'll disclose all the worst stuff up front. Like, if you want it, great, let's still do it. But if not, let us know now. We don't want to get into any issues while we're in escrow. And we've never had a deal fall apart because of our disclosures, because we're so upfront about it.
Transparent.
Yeah, and I'll tell you more than you need to know. But to be honest, like people, like Apple and iTunes, people do tend to just read, not even skim it and sign it.
They just check the box without.
Yeah. So at least we can sleep at night, and if there is something that they should know about, they do know about it. Yeah. Whether or not they choose to pay attention to it, that's up to them. But yeah, disclose, disclose, disclose. That's kept me out of trouble. My dad teaches ethics classes at UCR and Cal State. Like, I've always grown up with just do the right thing. I can't tell you, you make mistakes growing up, right? Some of them big, some of them small. I can't tell you how many times my dad's been like, you need to call that person, apologize, and like talk to them, and I'm like, oh, I just really wish I had never needed to talk to that person again. But even though it like hurts sometimes to admit my mistakes and take responsibility, yeah, he made me do it, and I feel like it made me a better person to do that. Yeah.
Well, there's such a wisdom in that, because it makes you not want to have to keep saying I'm sorry and doing that over and over again,
true.
Right? It does.
It's true.
And it promotes integrity.
Yeah. Well, and to take it back to Judaism, and I'm sorry, I'm not the greatest Jew. I don't know all of the terms and phrases, but Yom Kippur, it's a Day of Atonement. And so we're literally taught in Hebrew school and Judaism that you're supposed to apologize to people that you've wronged. So even if you haven't talked to someone in a year or multiple years, our religion, Judaism, says to apologize to them at least try three times. Yeah. If you've tried 3 times and they don't accept it, you've done your part.
Your responsibility.
And you can let go of that. We still should face atonement for our actions and consequences, of course. But as far as like your relationship to that person, I think it's important, just as a human, to try to make an amendment with them. Yeah,
Again, I love the Old Testament. A lot of Christians love the New Testament, but to me, the Old Testament was forthcoming of the New Testament. I love law. I'm in my business. I like disclosure too. So I'm in the commercial insurance. I work with business owners. My best scenario is to have all the advisors around, the attorney, the tax accountant, the insurance guy, maybe even a broker, because if they talk to us individually, they get different opinions. When we can educate and talk through it together, now they can make their own decision on what's best for them.
As a group.
As a group. And that's always been mine, is collaborative consulting with our clients. So I love what you're saying, and it's true. Pastor Mark, he says, forgiveness is for you, the goal is, yes, for them to forgive you, but you going and asking for it, you've done what you are supposed to.
Yeah.
And the greatest is when you're restored and, everybody forgives each other. But at least if we do what we're supposed to. Right?
Yeah, someone has to extend the olive branch, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. In an ideal world, it's both.
Yep.
Sometimes it's one, but it should always be someone has to step up.
Well, in business and in our city, we need that same leadership.
True.
Because there's a lot of division and distrust and hurt. I'll even say generational. So again, I think being able to practice those principles is going to be key to successful business, to turning our city around. So with that, let's talk a little bit about successful business. And I know, you're a humble guy, and but I think it's important, especially for our viewers, to understand, success and what it looks like. So can I ask you, where are you at today, your holdings, your value, your company, and a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, so we, just a quick little rundown. I started in residential. I got my real estate license when I was 18. Sold 17 houses in my first year. Rolled with that. This was around 2011 when I think the market was pretty much bottomed out and was starting to come up.
Mm-hmm. After 2008, I'll never forget 2008.
Yeah, I'm lucky to have started my business in the timing, when I did.
Yeah.
Some people, I don't think I've lived through a true depression or recession like 2008.
Yeah.
So, hopefully we don't have to. But thankfully I didn't at that time, and I was able to get on my feet as a salesperson. I was going to Cal State for marketing. And the marketing really helped me identify what my brand was and who I was as a salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided, I was there's a lot of pushy salespeople here, do this, do that. I wanted to be an informational type salesperson. Consultative, yeah. Here are the houses you can choose from. Here are the benefits, pros and cons. Mm-hmm. This one fits your needs the most. Let's go. And so that's kind of how I was able to gain trust and build my sphere of influence and my circles. And, my dad had an accounting business for 30 years. And so he joined me as a broker. And so at that point, we kind of started our firm. We called it Realicor. The name is a little ambiguous because at the time, I knew I wanted to grow something big and bigger than what I was doing. I just didn't know what yet. And so I wanted to, it's it's real estate, it's our core, Realicor, people call it Realicor.
Yeah.
I hear all sorts of different ways of saying it. But yeah, it's just about real estate at our core. And essentially we went from just doing buyer representation, listing, sales to flipping houses. Mm-hmm. We would go and see properties that weren't financeable and we'd fix them up. Put them on the market, sell them. And at one time we were probably one of the top 3 to 5 biggest flippers in the Inland Empire. We were doing up to 8 to 10 houses a month. We had 6 different construction teams going on. I hired my best friend as a project manager. We kind of had no idea what we were doing. At the same time we were figuring it out. But thankfully, again, I'm not going to say it was all my direction, but with the market going up, there was really no way to lose. Obviously, we had to find good deals, and the better a deal we found, the better margin we can make. It got to a point where it started to get a little boring to me, which sounds arrogant, but it was all right, do we choose a gray, cool color theme for this house when we flip it, or do we choose a warm, earth tone? Mm-hmm. And to me, it was just not itching my brain anymore.
I don't think money was your motivator.
No, it was
it's
fun.
A tool.
It was fun to build stuff.
Yeah.
It was fun to hand the keys to a new buyer. It was fun to get a text from a client and say, thank you so much. I couldn't have done this without you. That was what was motivating me. And the money just happened to come after that.
Yeah.
And so at a certain point, the market started compressing. Mm-hmm. Everyone and their mom got on HGTV and flipping was cool. So our returns went from on some houses we were making 25 to 50%, and then flipping that money 2 to 3 times a year. And so sometimes we could double our money in a year. But it got to be like now you're lucky if you make 6 to 8% return, and that's the cost of money right now.
Yeah.
So it's so competitive that it doesn't, unless you're doing it all cash, which in real estate, like the point is leverage.
Yep.
Unless you're doing it all cash, it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
And even then, you're better off lending out the money as hard money.
And there's a high risk.
And there's a high risk.
Yeah.
You know, you're dealing with contractors who walk off the job. You're dealing with, oh, I didn't realize there's a sinkhole under the house when or oh, the market shifted in the last 6 months. Now I can't sell the house for what I thought. So we took that money and we were like, okay, great, we've been successful. What do we want to do next with it? And we shifted to commercial real estate. So I think I bought my first property in downtown San Bernardino. I keep having to update this in my head because it doesn't feel that long ago, but I think it's been 12 years. I called, it was the dean of biology in San Diego. He forgot he owned a property in downtown San Bernardino. I called him and said, hey, I don't know if you know, someone broke into your property. And that just kind of started a snowball of like, hey, you have this vacant property, what are you doing with it? Do you want to sell it? Or someone would list it for sale, no one else wanted it, and so we would, wait till the price is right and buy it. And it started this accumulation of like, hey, how far can we go with this? Can we get a whole block of properties? And it changed us from this mindset of like, get into a property, fix it up, get out of it, and move on, to, oh, wow, we have a responsibility to this area. We have a responsibility to the community. Like the businesses that we put in here, the small businesses that we put in here, or organizations or nonprofits, that affects the surrounding community. Yep. These are all places that hopefully residents or outside people will want to visit. And so we have to think about that. And so it became more of this like rooted mindset of, okay, we need to be very picky about who comes in here, what small business or nonprofit. And that's, I think like the top 3 questions I ask someone before they rent a building from me is like, what do you think about San Bernardino? So if they have anything bad to say, it's usually not going to be great. Number 2 is, do your finances look good? And then number 3 is usually, do you have a business plan? And so if you can't get past the first part of like, hey, I love San Bernardino, it's not going to work out.
Wrong city.
Wrong city, yeah. Try, open somewhere else. That's kind of been the recipe for slow growth and success. And in the meantime, I realized, sorry, this is really long. Feel free to let me know shorten. In the meantime, I realized that I needed more cash flow to fund all these investments because real estate, while it can put off cash flow, when you're in a dilapidated city and you're buying a lot of dilapidated, I'm not buying a property where it's got 6 tenants in it already. Yeah. These properties are sitting for 6 months, a year while I fix them up. You need cash flow. Yeah.
A lot of money goes out, takes a while to catch up.
Yeah. I realized that there was a niche in the area for a good property management company. And I had accumulated so many properties. My dad and I, we own about 70 units that we had to make a decision, either manage them ourselves or hire someone. And we realized that like the backbone to longevity in real estate is property management. Even if it's not fun, it's not glorious.
Sexy side of real estate or glorious side of real estate.
No, the calls for the toilets breaking, the sewer lines,
the broken glass,
like it can be overwhelming sometimes. But thankfully, and I owe a lot of success. Shout out to my team, who keeps me humble, who helps me when I don't think that I can accomplish something. They show me and teach me something new. They hold my hand. They take over the load sometimes. And when, especially like, I told you earlier that I deal with anxiety, right? When I'm having a hard time or just I'm overwhelmed with, something because I really push myself very hard, they know me, they're attuned to me well enough that they see that and they'll jump in and help. And I am not gonna cry, but they are so good to me. And I know it's, super cliche to say they're my family, but I see them every day and they really are my family, and I couldn't do it without them. So thank you, Realicor team. Thank you, everyone. Anyways, all to say, we started investing in these buildings. We started a property management company. We now manage we're up to about 230 units for other people. And that's been consistent cash flow for us. We charge anywhere from like on the low end 7 to 10% of collected rent for management fees. And so that's been a way that I've been able to sustain employees. I've been able to invest in my buildings and pay for myself to live. It's just been, and I never thought I would get into property management. In fact, one last thing and I'll end this. I started property management with my dad because people would ask me if I would manage the properties like 11 years ago. We got up to like 24 units. And we hated it so much, we sold them all off to Jack Katzman, who's a local business owner.
I know Jack well.
Jack Katzman, yeah, he's a good small business owner here in the city. He's been here for a long time, longer than us. And he took them over, no problem, and handled them. His family's, they run their business. And I realized with mentorship from some of my investors that I just approached it the wrong way. So we got systems in place, we got the right employees in place, we got the right team. And now it's still difficult. It's not easy. Otherwise, everyone would start a business.
Absolutely.
But wow, I can see a future. I can see us growing. I can see it's not crushing. It has its moments where it's bad, but it has its moments where it's like, wow, I could see us getting to 1,000 units. I could see us selling the company one day for multiple millions and all that stuff, or buying out other companies and expanding to San Diego County, Orange County, LA County. And so we're planting those seeds, we're growing sustainably, and at the same time we're putting that money into our real estate here in the city of San Bernardino, and just trying to give back when we can. And yeah, I've caught you up. There you are.
No, that's amazing. So 70 units. Can I ask a question? How old are you?
32.
So at 20, you started selling real estate for the first time.
Yes.
And
yes,
18. Your dad is now retired from CPA.
No, he works hard. He works hard, but he works from home. He's
But he's joined you as your partner in real estate.
Yes.
And you have 70 holdings and 230 that you manage.
Yes.
At 32 years old.
Yes.
Wow.
That's not too bad, right?
No, but the great story behind that is you haven't lost your heart for people. Like you said, and I felt it. You really care about your team.
It's all been, everything I do, even if it hurts me or I'm cutting my own skin off here, it's in service of people. I simultaneously love people. Sometimes hate's a strong word. My mom tells me don't use hate. Sometimes I don't like some people, but at the end, I always try to understand, like, maybe they're dealing with something. Maybe that's why they're acting like this. And I just do my best to, like, hey, let's get to the crux of the issue here. Let's resolve it. We can do better. Yeah. But yeah, it's always in the service of people. Everything I do. Wow. So, at least try to.
A couple things, and obviously, I've asked Dave, how can we partner in restoring San Bernardino, and amazing partner, and I hope to pick up some investment tips from Dave, because I'm a minor as he's a major.
Come on, man.
And so age and experience and wisdom don't go hand in hand. So at 32, I think you have a lot of experience and wisdom that people at 70 I know don't have. And your success kind of attributes to that. But the great story behind that, and that's what this is all about, is you can build a successful organization, not lose your heart for God and people. Yeah. And we need to do that. Yeah. We need to have, I challenged our economic development director or intern. I said, can we stop calling them a small business and call them community-based? Because small limits them. And there was this small business called McDonald's that started in San Bernardino. And they grew worldwide. And the thing about going public, and that's is then the heart's taken out of it, and it becomes about growth and money. But there's many success stories in and out, and other ones that are privately held haven't lost their heart for their communities, their people, their values, but they're very successful. Yeah. So I think we should have some of the most successful businesses in the world that can be privately held and treat their people well. Because profit, I say, benefits everybody. Greed benefits the top. everybody profits, the workers, the community, government, and the ownership when it's profitable.
Yeah.
But when it's greed, the only one that profits is the owner or the boss.
Yeah.
Or the. So I
100%.
love that about your heart. So
Thank you.
And with that being said, I want to thank you for being on. I mean,
Yeah,
what
course.
advice, if you look into the camera, for a young entrepreneur? Because we have, I think our DNA, Downtown Neighborhood Association, our DNA in San Bernardino is the spirit of entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And our DNA has shown that we can have many that start here and go worldwide. McDonald's is one. I know we had Taco Bell.
Yeah.
We've had, I think, Del Taco.
Food for Less started
Food
here.
for Less, Bakers, but also the animatronics, Garner Holt,
Garner Holt. Yeah.
a young boy that started in his garage, now distributes animatronics around the world.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So that's our DNA, is entrepreneurial. So what would you say to a young entrepreneur, and what would you say, because I'm like you, I look at San Bernardino and I see it as the greatest opportunity.
Yeah.
Other people look at it and see it as a city that's, lacking, and I see the greatest opportunity as an investor, as a business owner, as a resident, as so many, right? What would you say to somebody young that's thinking about starting, and maybe that's thinking about leaving San Bernardino, and convince them to try to stay here and build something?
No problem. So to the youth of the city of San Bernardino or the Inland Empire, when you're young, you have nothing to lose. I like to tell people, it's kind of ridiculous, but I want to catch people's kind of ears. But I say, take infinite risk, which sounds ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. There's no such thing as infinite. We can't understand that. But what I mean is, keep failing, keep trying, keep taking risks no matter what. Until you figure it out. It took me a while to get into the groove of knowing that property management was my niche. It took me 14 years of being in business to figure that out. You know how many failures it took me to get there? So just take a lot of risk, calculated risk. Do your homework, but take a lot of risk and go for those home runs. The small wins are important too. But while you're taking that first and second base, go for the home runs too, and just see if you can hit it out of the park. So, and do it here in the city. Do it here, where your family is, where your friends are. So I moved to Redlands. I live in Redlands right now. I've convinced 5 different friends to move to Redlands with me, and to San Bernardino as well. I've convinced 30 plus small businesses to come to San Bernardino. So bring everyone with you. If you can do it and you can bring others with you, we'll all be more successful for it. So that's my advice.
I love that advice, because one of my favorite books that I recommend to young entrepreneurs is by John Maxwell, Failing Forward.
That's a good book.
I love that book, because that's been my life story, is failing forward. And to me, failure is never trying or giving up. It's not making mistakes along the way.
Oh, right? You're going to make so many.
Well, with that being said, I know that's my heart for entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs that want to start. And I think it's David's, is reach out to us. And I think taking some time to be able to share with them,
of course,
and mentor, coach, and maybe this beautiful space here, David's offered it to the DNA. Of course. So maybe we can do some events down here for entrepreneurs.
I would love to. Tansu and I, we are asked pretty regularly to go talk to college students about our small businesses and how we run a small business and give back to the community at the same time. And so, I could talk about that like the back of my hand. I got a PowerPoint on it. Okay. So anytime.
Okay, well, we're gonna make a point of that. And with that being said, I want to thank David Freeman for being our guest on Business by the Book.
Thank you, man.
And I appreciate
you too.
There's one other thing, be off camera or on camera, I don't care.
Doesn't matter.
Because you said about anxiety.
Yeah.
It's just in my heart, and if you'll allow me to, I'd love to pray for you.
Sure.
Are you open to that?
Yeah, of course.
Because I've been there, and my wife's had it, and it's a tough place to be sometimes.
It's not easy, man.
So, Father God, I just thank you for David. I thank you for his heart. Lord God, I know how much you love him, and I know that your desire is for him to know how much you love him, and my faith is that, Jesus, your name is the Prince of Peace, a peace that surpasses all understanding. And I pray that David would know that peace right now. And Lord God, he He would cast his anxiety and his cares to you. He would just richly know who you are so that you can heal any areas. And he would just have a peace, a sleep, and a contentment that nothing in this world could bring, but you would continue to bless him, to know you, and to serve you all the days of his life. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. I'm going to
Thank
sleep
you,
well
brother.
tonight.
You are. I believe that too,
Thank you.
brother. Thank
Thank
you.
you, man.
And I mean
Thank
that.
you. Yeah, thank
What
you.
I want to do is I would love to, and this is his heart,